Hello everyone and welcome to Chiswick Book Festival. I'm Connie Huck, the author of the Cookie book series. I've also got a book out at the end of this year, which is called Fearless Fairy Tales, which is a compendium of classic fairy tales updated for the 21st century. Anyhow, without further ado, to tell you a bit more, I'm going to pass you over to me, and then after you'll come back to me and I'll answer your questions. So now it's time for me, Connie, to hand over to Connie.
So how did I start writing books? Well, many of you may or may not know that I was presenting on Blue Peter for many years before I started writing children's books. I was the longest serving Blue Peter presenter that was female. So I got to do loads and loads of fun things in my Blue Peter years. Look, there I am on the cover of one of the Blue Peter annuals. And the brilliant thing about Blue Peter is it gives you so many life experiences. I always say, even now, it's the best job in the world. I presented on the show for over 10 years, which meant that I got to go to nearly every continent and loads of different countries. I met famous people, from pop stars to politicians. I also travelled to places that I might not have ever seen otherwise, remote villages in sub-Saharan Africa, the depths of the ocean. I did diving. I even did training with the Royal Marines. And all of these experiences are things that I put into my books. When you're writing a story, it's really amazing to be able to draw on reality. And people often say to me, oh, where do you start when you're writing a book? And if you're stuck on how to start a story, so it's good to think about something that you can relate to and start writing about that. So I don't know, maybe if you love ballet, you could do a story about ballet, or, you know, maybe your story is about a school and the people in the school, which is kind of what the characters and the situations in my cookie books are based upon. Most of the stuff is based on reality. So remember I told you I did some training with the Royal Marines. Well, I managed to fall off the zip wire on the Royal Marines training course. And in this book, my latest book, Cookie and the Most Annoying Girl in the World, Cookie does exactly that. She falls off a zip wire at Forest Club. And so all the things that were going through my head when that happened to me in real life, I could draw upon when I was writing that scenario in the book. Similarly, in book 1, Cookie goes on a quiz show and gets all the answers wrong, which is exactly what happened to me before. I went on a TV show on a quiz and managed to get every answer that I got asked from the questions wrong. So those are really good tips when it comes to writing stories. Now I'm going to tell you a bit about Cookie and the gang. So in book 1, Cookie and the Most Annoying Boy in the World, Cookie is sad because her best friend's going to be moving away from the neighbourhood, and what makes things worse is this annoying boy moves into town. His name is Jake, and Cookie finds him absolutely irritating beyond belief. But throughout the story you find out that maybe Jake isn't as irritating as Cookie thinks, and then by the end maybe Cookie decides to have a change of opinion, which is important in life. We learn from things and we can change our mind about things. All the books, I like to include themes in them. So this book is based around science and learning. Cookie and her best friend love collecting lists of long words. And you know, Cookie's school is very much into science and tech, and so that's what book 1 is themed around. Now book 2, which is the latest book, Cookie and the Most Annoying Girl in the World, is themed around, you might have guessed it from the cover, it's themed around saving the planet and the environment and being eco-friendly. And Cookie and her friends are very much into this, and Susie Ashby, who we also meet in book 1, doesn't quite get the concept of saving the environment, and it's all about Cookie's adventures, how she manages to fall out with her friends and fall in with Susie, and the scrapes and situations she gets into along the way. Now for those of you that don't know Cookie and the gang, I thought now might be a nice opportunity to introduce you to them. So I'm going to show you who's who. So Cookie is obviously our main character. She's very easy to draw. Circle head, some bits of hair coming out the top, 2 little lines for eyes. She's always got big eyes like that. And then I've put her hands on her hips today. And there you go. That is Cookie. And when you're making up characters for a story, it's good to know what their character traits are, what they're like. And so Cookie is smart, she's funny, and she's stubborn. She's our main character. So then this is Keziah. So this is the best friend that might be moving away in book 1. Now Cookie is from a Muslim Bangladeshi family. Keziah is from Afro-Caribbean descent. Keziah has 2 dads. Keziah is very laid back. She's kind of calm, and she's laid back, she's calm, and she's a very sweet person. So there we go. We already know 2 of the characters in the gang and what they're like. So, of course, you remember Jake, who's the most annoying boy in the world, only it turns out that he isn't at all. And he lives next door to Cookie. And he is clever, which is why I think Cookie is quite jealous of him at first. He's clever. He's quite cool. And then he's also quite sort of bold in his character. He's not fazed easily. So there we go. That's Jake. Now, he's the most annoying boy in the world. So I might as well show you the most annoying girl in the world. And this is Susie Ashby. And once again, we might find out by the end of the book that she's not as annoying as we think, really. Because most people, in general, are quite nice when it comes down to it. So here we go. This is Susie. And Susie is fashionable. Susie is into fashion. Susie is also she can be quite superficial. There we go. I mean, she's nice, really, but she does like to go along with the trends. So she's fashionable, she's superficial, and she's not very eco-conscious. Eco-conscious, as we'll find out in book 2. And then I'll quickly just show you, this is Alison, and she's Susie's best friend, and she just looks like a mini version of Susie. So there we go. And Alison's pretty similar to Susie. And then this here is Axel. And Axel is kind of shy, but he's also a very sweet person. He's shy, he's sweet, and he's a bit awkward. There we go. Awkward. Oh, I didn't put his name. So there we have Axel. So this is our gang who feature in book 1 and book 2. And when you're making up a story, it's good to know exactly who your gang are and to maybe base them on people you actually know. And that way, you can know how they'll react in different situations and what their likes are and their dislikes and what their hobbies might be and, you know, what they might get up to in their spare time. So it's always really, really good to sort of be a bit aware of your characters before you start writing your story, because then that will help you build your world. Now, it's also good to have some themes in a story, and I think stories are really good if they do something extra, like they teach you a good lesson or they have a good moral. So for instance, there's quite a few themes that we're going to explore right now in the Cookie book about the environment. And one of those themes is, of course, the environment itself. So actually, remember how I said that in this book, there's lots to do with science and knowledge and learning. And both of the books have an appendix in the back, which means that you can try out activities from inside the book. So there might be recipes or experiments or things that feature in the books in the back that you can try out to make it kind of interactive. This book has eco-friendly activities in, and also eco facts. We're going to go through some eco facts in a minute, and other things that you can do as well, little activities. There we go. So when you're writing your story, maybe think about what the overall message is and what your themes are going to be. So the themes in Cookie Book 2 are, let's see if I could just write it here, Book 2 themes. Okay, so number 1 is the environment. Another theme of the book is fear. Another theme is friendship and learning / growth. Growing as a person, that means. There we go. So those are the themes. So you might want to think about what themes you might have if you write a story. Now, as with all stories, it's good to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the beginning is going to be the setup. So the beginning is the setup. So that will be the characters, the world, where the story is taking place. So it might be at the school. Like I said, it's good to do things you can relate to. Then the middle is, it's good to have conflict or a problem. And then at the end, it's good to have resolution. So resolution, and that's at the end. There we go. And those are the 3 parts of your story. And the more problems, conflict, situations, twists and turns that happen in the middle, the more compelling a story is, because people will keep wanting to read on to find out what happens next and how the situation will resolve. So it's really good to try and stick loads and loads of twists and turns in the middle of a book. So let me tell you a bit more about Cookie and the Most Annoying Girl in the World. So here you'll see I've written up the themes that are in Cookie Book 2. Number 1 is saving the planet, which we will come on to in a moment. Number 2 is fear. So at school, the teacher asks the whole class what their fears are. Now, this is quite a good example of how, because I know who my characters are, I know how they'll think in situations. So, first of all, Cookie is smart, funny, and stubborn. Now, her fear is actually revealed to us in Book 1. In Cookie and the Most Annoying Boy in the World, we find out that Cookie has got a phobia of swans. She's scared of swans ever since she went to a park once and got chased by a swan, and she has dreams where swans come out of nowhere. So Cookie's fear is swans, and that was pretty easy because I knew from Book 1 that was Cookie's fear. So then we look at Keziah. Now Keziah's laid back, she's calm, and she's very, very sweet. So what could Keziah's fear be? Well, I always remember when I was young being scared of the dark, and so that was a fear that I could relate to. And Keziah's very sweet, and she's kind of timid as well, so it felt quite right that Keziah might be scared of the dark. So next we go to Jake. Jake is clever, he's cool, and he's bold. So because he's bold, he's kind of brave as well. So in the lesson, when the teacher asks Jake what his fear is, he's adamant that he's not scared of anything. And the teacher insists that everyone is scared of something. And it's true. We've all got fears. You would be abnormal not to be scared of anything. Everyone feels emotions, and fear is an emotion. And so by the end of the book, we will find out what Jake is scared of. But he reckons he's not scared of anything. And that fits in with his character trait of sort of being bold and a bit of a clever clogs. He's a bit like, hey, nothing phases me. So Susie is fashionable. She's superficial. She's not very eco-conscious. So Susie's fear, turns out, is of bacteria and germs, you see, because she likes everything to be spick and span and clean, and she's not very eco-conscious either, and so she doesn't like to get her hands dirty, as we'll find out when we go to Forest Club, which is later in the book. So Susie is scared of bacteria and germs. She carries hand gel around with her everywhere, and she started doing this at playgroup. So next we have Alison. Now Alison is quite similar to Susie. Now Alison is described in book one as a mini version of Susie. She's just like a mini-me of Susie. But the one difference is that Susie is always at the front and takes the lead and bosses Alison about. So Alison's that much more timid compared to Susie. And I thought a good fear for someone that's a bit timid is the fear of ghosts. And then next we have Axel. So let's look at his character traits. He's shy, he's sweet, and he's awkward. Axel is quite an awkward person. He's known for looking at the floor the whole time. And so I thought a good fear for Axel would be the fear of heights. He doesn't even like looking up in life in general. He's always found looking at the floor. So there we go. So knowing our characters, it was easy for me to know what their fears might be. So it might be fun if you're doing a story and thinking out characters, for you to think of whether it would be easy for you to work out what their fears would be, what would fit in with their character traits. And fears are a really good thing to weave into a story because people can then conquer their fears. And by the end of the book, the whole gang have learned to conquer their fears, or maybe at least deal with them better. It's not easy to always get rid of something you're scared of because, you know, it's quite an innate thing in people to fear things. But it's a good story idea because it means that they can go on a journey where they try and conquer their fear. So there we go. Fear is one of the themes. Forests Club is another theme in the book. The book is all to do with saving the environment and being eco-conscious. And as it happens, a new teacher comes to the school who starts up a forest club. And so basically everyone signs up, and there's loads and loads of sort of outdoor activities that are suggested in the book. And actually it's quite a good time at the moment to be getting eco-conscious because, as we know, we are in a real drive in society to start saving our planet, and you've got to be able to appreciate greenery to want to save it. It's really, really important. As we know, anything green is oxygen generating, and oxygen generation is what we need to be healthy, for healthy lungs and healthy respiratory system and breathing. We need lots and lots of oxygen. So the more green things people plant, the better, and the less that we cut down of forests or greenery to make way for buildings or other processes. Basically, it's not good because that's all adding to our carbon footprint, and we need more oxygen and less carbon footprint. So it's really, really important to appreciate greenery and green spaces and the outdoors and clean air and healthy living. And actually, during this time of lockdown that we've had recently, it's actually helped the environment a bit, because there have been less planes in the sky, less cars on our roads, less consumption in general, because people aren't going to the shops as much, which means less carbon footprint when it comes to manufacturing things, when it comes to transporting things, when it comes to burning fossil fuels and factory processes. I don't know whether you have noticed, but with clearer skies, with less planes and quieter roads, I can hear the birds singing a lot more, and they seem louder and happier than ever before. So it's a really, really good time to get in touch with your environment. And there's activities in the back of the book that can help you do that. Now, the last theme in the book is all to do with growing up. And when you're writing a story, like I said, it's good to have a moral or a lesson, or the reader goes on a journey with the character. And in the book, you'll see that they all do this through conquering their fears, and also through their friendship groups and how they treat each other. And it's really, really important to, value other people and realise that you might not be the same as someone else. But actually, if everyone was the same, life would be really boring. And so even though someone might not be, say, a really good friend of yours, or someone that you totally gel with, to sort of respect them and their opinion, and realise that we're all different and we all do things differently, and that only makes life more brilliant. Now, I said I was going to come back to number 1, which is saving the planet. That is the theme running through the book. And Cookie decides very early on to have a Save the Planet birthday party. So here we can see some of Cookie's party ideas for her Save the Planet party. No palm oil in food, because palm oil leads to the destruction of rainforests, which leads to greenhouse gases, as does eating meat, actually. Often forests are cleared to rear animals for meat. All the clothes should be natural fibres, because as we know, plastic is an eco no-no. And then Cookie says candlelight to save on electricity. I'm not sure that's too good an idea, as the whole party might burn down. But there's loads and loads of eco facts in the book. For instance, did you know, let's find one here, that, every day approximately 8 million pieces of plastic pollution find their way into the sea. 8 million, that's a lot of plastic in the sea. There's more plastic in the sea than there are people living in the whole of Scotland. So Cookie decides that the way forward is the Save the Planet birthday party. But unfortunately, Susie Ashby decides to copy the idea. And here I can show you a picture of Susie Ashby's Save the Planet birthday party. And it's safe to say that there's very little that saves the planet at this party, because more or less everything is plastic. There we go, have a look at that. Plastic bunting, plastic cups, plastic straws, plates, knives and forks, plastic spoon, a plastic flag with Happy Birthday Susie on, balloons, which are also made from similar processes to plastics and are unenvironmentally friendly. And so that is why Susie is the most annoying girl in the world, because she has no idea about saving the planet. That, among other reasons. But anyway, without further ado, I think it's time that I read you an extract from the book. So if you are sitting comfortably, then I will begin. Cookie and the most annoying girl in the world. I'm going to read a bit from chapter 2. This is where the idea for the Save the Planet birthday party starts. You should have a Save the Planet party, Cookie, suggests Ruby. That would be really fun, and a worthwhile theme too. Better still, you're genuinely into it. Genius! Why didn't I think of that? I'll have a Save the Planet party. Everything will be sustainable, no plastic whatsoever. Paper plates, paper cups, paper drinking straws, and even paper decorations. Instead of goodie bags, I'll give out packets of seeds so people can plant more trees. And then there's a cartoon there. These Haribos taste really weird. And Keziah's saying, they're tree seeds. The idea is coming together already, and we've only just thought of it. All food would be vegetarian. Meat is a real eco no-no. Luckily, I don't eat pork anyway, so I'm part of the way there. And then there's a cartoon of 2 cows. Moo, did you know 1/3 of global greenhouse emissions come from agriculture? Moo, no way. Moo, yes, and half is from livestock like us. Moo, uh-oh, I hope we don't end up as burgers. And that's like I said to you. Meat can lead to a higher carbon footprint, so it's good to limit the amount of meat you eat. I could even encourage people to walk or cycle to the party, and I could give all the leftover food to the homeless. Cheese and pineapple sticks, they're only 2 days old. And this poor guy's thinking, no thanks. The invites could be emailed out so as not to waste paper. Although I'm not allowed on any social media, our school is really into science and technology, so it has its very own email network. I can't wait to message everyone about my party. There'll be such a buzz. Yippee! My first proper birthday party. Up until now, I've always just done low-key stuff with a few people. Times are changing. At school on Monday morning, there's a bright pink envelope on everyone's desks. I look down at mine. On the front, it says, Cookie Hack, in large, swirly gold writing. Oh, I know exactly what this is. I pull out a glossy pink plastic invitation and a multicoloured cloud of glitter explodes all over my desk. Ah! I open it and am greeted by a pop-up image of Susie grinning with the words, Happy birthday to me. Ew. I scan the room for Susie. Hey, Susie, I yell in her direction. What a coincidence. My birthday is on the same day as your birthday. We're birthday buddies. Susie turns as pink as her invite. My birthday's actually on the Wednesday before, so I'm actually older than you, and we're not actually birthday buddies, she says. We're having soirees on the same day. I don't know what that means. Older, but not wiser. A soiree is a party. How come your party is on the same day as mine anyway? I didn't get an invite, says Susie. That's because I haven't invited you. That's just what Cookie's thinking. But she doesn't say it. My birthday is actually on that day and my invites are going out by email as it's more environmentally friendly, I say smugly. You see, it's a Save the Planet birthday party. Susie turns even pinker and splutters. No way, so is mine. Next, you'll be telling me that this plastic invite is 100% recycled. What's that got to do with it anyway? Older, but definitely not wiser. There is nothing on her invite saying Save the Planet party. She's just made it up on the spot to compete with me. I know. I'll have a Save the Planet party. She'll never know I made it up on the spot. Her birthday isn't even on that day. She's hired out the most un-eco-friendly fast food joint and her invite is made of plastic. But I can't accuse her of being a liar, not in front of the whole class. I mean, Susie is the least environmentally friendly person I can think of. Everything about her says destroy the planet. I much prefer a bath every day to a shower. Mum, can I have a lift, please? Where to? Next door. Mum, I need some new shoes. I haven't bought any since last week. At lunch, I report the whole thing to my dinner lady buddy, Selena. I'll come to your party, she reassures me, and I can bring my children if you need me to make up the numbers. I have 47 in total. Or is it 48? She probably would as well. Wow, Cookie, you have so many friends. I don't know any of them. They're all Selena's grandchildren. Selena assures me that Susie will get a very small portion of chips today, and I giggle as I head over to Keziah and Axel, who are already sitting down at a table, munching on their lunch and chatting away. And then he stepped on a carrot. No way! Having a fun time, those two. Turns out Axel hasn't even been invited to Susie's party. She can be so mean sometimes. She's invited every other person in the class. She'd claim it was an oversight if anyone pulled her up on it. But I know that she didn't invite Axel, I always look at the floor, Con, on purpose, because he's not very popular. Axel doesn't seem to mind in the slightest, though. Thank goodness I wasn't invited. At least I don't need to make up an excuse to get out of it. Well, Axel is welcome at my birthday party. So that's 4 definites, including me. Party! Woohoo! Yay! Is it just us? After we finish our food, we go around telling everybody about the party. We even get some good eco-conscious party suggestions. No palm oil products. Natural fibres in clothing. Candlelight. I'm loving everyone's input. If people feel they've helped to contribute, they'll definitely want to come. Maybe I'll even get the same number of guests as Susie. By the end of lunchtime, I'm starting to think I might even beat her. I tell Teo Akinola he can DJ, and he says of his own accord that he can try and pick music that's environmentally friendly. I have no idea what he means by that. Maybe music about nature and animals? Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. I go along with it anyway, as it seems to make him happy. I'm so excited about the whole thing. When I get home, I run up to Ruby's room to ask her if she'll help me design an invite. I'm thinking that I could maybe even write on it that for every acceptance I get, a donation will go to Friends of the Earth or some other environmental charity. But maybe that would be weird, like I'm trying to guilt trip people into coming. Come to my party! If you don't, the planet will die! We'll all die! Where would I hold it? I haven't even thought about a venue yet. In the local park, or better still, the community nature reserve. But it might be too cold or too rainy. The back garden will probably be best. Still close to nature, but we could always go inside if we needed to. I run downstairs to check with Mum, who's busily scrawling something on the kitchen calendar. She's not really listening to me and is pretending to, the way mums sometimes do. Are you listening, Mum? Yes. Of course not. Me. So I think I'll have my party here. Mum. Oh, okay. Me. For my birthday? Mum. Oh, okay. Me. Great. Saturday? Mum. Okay. That's the Saturday after next. Mum. Okay. Saturday the 16th? Mum. Huh? Saturday the 16th? No, that's not okay. Sorry, we're going to Uncle Meddy's that day. They're having a big celebration at their house. And your cousin's brother-in-law's cousin's cousin and their family are visiting from Canada. So we have to go. Me. Ugh. But that's my birthday. Don't you even know when your own daughter's birthday is? Mum. Sorry, Ruby. I'm thinking about something else right now. Me. Ugh, I'm Cookie. Don't you even know who your own daughter is? Mum. That's nice. No way. So unfair. No birthday party for me on my 10th birthday. The big 1-0, a decade old, a 10th of a century, double figures. Typical. Everyone will go and have fun at Susie's now, and worse still, I'll be stuck at Uncle Meddy's. Great, just great. Worst birthday ever. That was Cookie and the most annoying girl in the world. But this is another book that I want to introduce you to quickly before we wrap it up. This is Fearless Fairy Tales, and it's a compendium of modern day fairy tales. They're traditional tales that have been updated for the 21st century. So meet this chap, for instance. His name is Rumpelstiltskin, and he's a crazy little orange man who's obsessed with money and power, and he tries to get the king's daughter to spin straw into gold like in Rumpelstiltskin. And this is Sleeping Brainy. She wants to be Chancellor of the Exchequer, but her father, the king, wants her to be a princess. And this is the gingerbread kid who has to flee from fairy tale land because his people are being eaten. He comes across the sea in a boat and then goes to school in the UK, where he gets bullied until the kids realise he's the most interesting kid in the school, with stories of cats in boots and giants and beanstalks. And that's Rapunzel. She's a rapper who goes on Kingdom's Got Talent and manages to wow everyone with her rap music, but then they want her to change her image, but she decides to stay true to herself. There's loads of different stories in here, like Gretel and Hansel, which is all about equal pay. There's Snow White and the Five-a-Side football match, which is all about a super cool football playing Snow White, among many others. 16 stories in total, and it's very funny, and I just wanted to introduce you to it now.
So that was me, and now I'm going to answer some of your questions that you've sent in. So question number 1 is,
what did you like reading when you were a child?
when I was a child, I really used to love reading a book called Super Fudge by Judy Blume, and it was the first book that I read without pictures that I didn't find boring or a chore. I read it from cover to cover, and I felt like this is how grown-up books are written. It was written so nicely that I could really relate to the character. And it's actually the sequel. It's the second book in a series, but I still loved it anyway. So yeah, next question, please.
Where do you get your ideas for writing books?
I always think it's good to draw on experiences that you've had. So a lot of the things in my books have happened in real life. For instance, in book 1, Cookie goes on a quiz show and she gets all the questions wrong, spoiler alert. And I actually went on a quiz show when I was at school and got all the questions wrong. She actually gets asked the same questions that I got asked. And in book 2, for instance, she has an incident with a zip wire. I had that very same incident when filming for Blue Peter on the Royal Marines training course. So I just guess things that happen in life gives me my ideas.
Did you used to write stories for fun when you were younger, and do you still have some?
When I was younger, I used to write little stories in little books. I'd get paper and cut it up and staple it together and draw a cover, and then like sort of write the stories inside and make little books. So I guess it was like a premonition or a taste of things to come. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those anymore from when I was really young, which is a shame, but I bet they would have been very good.
If you were a character in Winnie the Pooh, which one would you be and why?
I guess if I was a character in Winnie the Pooh, I think lots of people might say that I'm Tigger, because I'm sort of always quite enthusiastic about things and, always sort of animated and bouncing around. So yeah, maybe I would be Tigger, I suppose. But maybe I'm not quite as enthusiastic as Tigger, because I don't bounce about on springs in my everyday life.
If you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
If I had a superpower, I think I'd like to be invisible, because I think you could have so much fun being invisible, and the opportunities it would open up. You could sneak on a plane and then travel abroad. You could listen into conversations of people chatting. You could go inside Buckingham Palace if you climb over the railings. I don't know. I think there's a lot of avenues that would be opened up by being invisible.
How long does it take to write your books?
I would say that all in all, it takes about a month to write one of the books. I tend to write in chunks of 500 words. Each chapter is split into 3 chunks of 500 words. And then maybe a bit longer, because then I put all the little comic strip illustrations in, so I go back and draw those in.
Where do you write your books? Do you have a special space for this? Do you use special pens?
I tend to write my books anywhere and everywhere, because I write it on my phone, which means I can be in a doctor's surgery waiting room and write a little bit or tweak a bit. I can be here in my garden writing a bit. I like to write anywhere and everywhere, and the style of the books is quite frenetic. Cookie has loads of mind thoughts and head thoughts, so it suits it to be written in a frenetic fashion, anywhere and everywhere.
Are you working on a new book now? What is its theme?
So the next book in the Cookie series, book 3, is themed all around puzzles and coding and problem solving, and that won't be out till next year.
Do you base your characters on people you know?
I will often base characters on people I know, because it's always a good way to make them authentic. You can think, what would that person do in that situation? So very loosely, yes. Cookie has 2 sisters, and I have 2 sisters, and her middle sister's into politics. My middle sister's my local MP. You know, Cookie has 2 sort of really good friends that I take inspiration from, an amalgamation of my friends. So yeah, I'd say so.
How important are the illustrations in your stories?
The illustrations in the Cookie books are really important, because they show you what Cookie's thinking or what's going through her mind, her flights of fancy, and they also bring about lots of the humour. So I'd say they're very integral. Thank you so much for all of your questions, to each and every one of you watching today, and to Chiswick Book Festival. It's been really great fun. Happy reading, and I will see you soon. Bye.